What up, yo? It's Marc with the Fantasy Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Tuesday, December 13th. I'm excited for today's show. It is playoff time. It's the Week 15 must-add players. Who are we looking at this week? Do you need a streamer for quarterback or defense? You can follow the show at Fantasy Knockout. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And let's hit this new goal of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Let's talk some news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. So running back David Johnson from the New Orleans Saints, he was signed to the active roster. I think this is a depth move for Mark Ingram being done for the year. Running back Ken Walker out of Seattle, he was listed as limited on Monday's estimated practice report. He's going to be a game time decision, but as of now, he's leaning like he'll playing towards Thursday. Tight end Hayden Hurst out of Cincinnati. His head coach, Zach Taylor, said Hurst is still week to week with his calf injury. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill out of Miami. His head coach, Mike McDaniel, told reporters Hill is dealing with bumps and bruises and he'll be able to work through. So that's good news for Hill. Running back Jeff Wilson out of Miami. He is said to be day-to-day with his hip. So his status is up in the air for next week as of now. Wide receiver T.Y. Hilton is a free agent. He was signed by the Dallas Cowboys. So after weeks of courting Odell Beckham, the Cowboys go a different direction. So Hilton's now, I believe, 33 years old, and he's going to provide Dallas with some depth at wide receiver. And then wide receiver DJ Moore out of Carolina. The reports say Moore is considered day-to-day with a knee sprain, so we're going to have to monitor his availability this week. Wide receiver T. Higgins out of Cincinnati. Its head coach Zach Taylor said that his hamstring is a day-to-day. So I believe Higgins was kind of testing it this last game, and they shut him down very early, which I'm sure hurt a lot of you guys. So they shut him down and in preparation for saving him for next week and stuff like that, so they didn't re-aggravate this and it'd be a longer injury. So he should be good to go this week. And then running back Dameon Pierce out of Houston, his head coach Lovie Smith said that he's unsure for Pierce's status this week. He's dealing with an ankle injury. So if he does not play, I believe it's going to be a combination of like Dare Ogunbowale, Eno Benjamin, Rex Burkhead, stuff like that. Wide receiver Tyler Boyd out of Cincinnati. The reports say Boyd with his finger could miss a week or two. He's basically droppable by the time he comes back. It's not going to be worth starting him. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel from the Niners. Reports show that Deebo has an MCL sprain and an ankle sprain. Looks like he's going to miss at least the next 2 weeks. So bummer for you guys who were right into the playoffs with Deebo. Main event, the must players to add for week 15, the waiver wire edition. First week of playoffs this week. So I'm going to go in order of importance by position. Well, we'll start with position, but in order of importance for the players, obviously the guy who I talk about first, that's the most important one to pick up. So quarterbacks, if you're in need of a quarterback or streaming quarterback this week, Jared Goff from Detroit, he's about 68% owned. Trevor Lawrence out of Jacksonville, he's about 71% owned. Mike White from the Jets, he's about 20% owned. If you're in need of a tight end, Greg Dulcich out of Denver, about 62% owned. Chig Okonkwo, I can't say it. The tight end from Tennessee, he's about 14% owned. He had a touchdown this weekend, looked pretty good. Tyler Conklin from the Jets, he's about 26% owned. Evan Ingram, the stud of the week, the knockout of the week from Jacksonville, 56% owned. Hunter Henry from New England, he's about 51% owned. If you're in need of a running back, Zonovan Knight from the Jets, he's 55% owned. Jerick McKinnon from the Chiefs, about 62% owned. Chuba Hubbard out of Carolina, he's about 33% owned. Travis Homer from Seattle, 37% owned. That's if Ken Walker doesn't play. Jordan Mason, the handcuff to Christian McCaffrey, he's out of San Francisco. He's about 12% owned. Guys, go get your handcuffs now. It is the start of playoffs. Handcuff your running backs just in case something happens so that you're not left with no players. Wide receivers, if you need a wide receiver, DJ Chark had a nice week this week. He's out of Detroit, 40% owned. Zay Jones from Jacksonville, 51% owned. Elijah Moore from the Jets, 27% owned. Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Cleveland, he's about 58% owned. Jameson Williams, first catch, touchdown, awesome. I just don't know if I can trust him going into the playoffs, but he's about 36% owned, so if you need him, you can go get him. Chris Moore from Houston, he's about 2% owned, and Devontae Parker out of New England, he's about 17% owned. So let's talk about some droppable players, guys. It's playoff time, so it's okay to drop your 5th string wide receiver that you're not going to play in your playoff spots. You're going to start a lot of your studs. Drop those players. Go pick up your running back handcuffs. Go pick up an extra defense and plan ahead. We're heading into week 15, so hopefully you guys have already made roster moves for this week. But if you need a defense for next week, get ahead of the game. Pick up get savvy, pick up a defense for next week that looks good. Like Tennessee is probably the prime matchup for week 16 that I'm looking at. Go get them. All right, some streaming options this week. If you're in need of a quarterback, Ryan Tannehill from Tennessee. He's got the Chargers. He's about 33% owned. Solid matchup. Should have to open up the offense against the Chargers this week. And then my other guy is Mike White from the Jets. He's got Detroit. He's about 20% owned. Great matchup. Should be a high-scoring game with Detroit. Streaming defenses this week. Green Bay Packers is my top one. They got the Rams. They're about 35% owned. The last 4 games, they had 7 sacks, 5 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. They get Baker Mayfield. The next defense is the Carolina Panthers. They're at home against Pittsburgh. They're about 7% owned. The last 4 games, they've had 14 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 fumble recovers. They get Mitch Trubisky, who tends to turn the ball over. And then the other defense, if your need, is the New Orleans Saints. They're at home against Atlanta. They're about 25% owned. The last 4 games, 12 sacks, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery. And they get the rookie Desmond Ridder. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the day. The next show is the week 15 must-start players. Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe, whatever platform you're on. Please leave that rating and review. It really helps me out. All right. Till next time. See ya.